Hey, everybody. This is the Shenandoah County Sheriff, Tim Carter. I want to thank you all for being with us today. Got a couple of staff members here with me. I have to my immediate right, Investigator Amanda Himelright. She is also assigned to the, what is ICAC?
The ICAC, the Internet Crimes Against Children.
Task Force.
Yes, sir.
Right. And to her right is Captain Whitney Mauck. Whitney is responsible for our school resource officers and support services division. And Whitney's here because she sees a lot of what we're dealing with young kids. So we're going to talk a little bit about internet safety. And I think the way we're going to try to do this is we're going to try to talk about things parents should be aware of. And then we'll go into kids after that. So let's talk about it from a parent's perspective.
Okay.
I think a lot of times what parents, this is what I see from my experiences with parents, is they feel like if they are looking at their kids' social media history, their phone, whatever, computer, whatever, they feel like they're prying, like they're violating their kids' space and that kind of thing. I mean, what do you tell parents about that?
We do have a lot of issues with parents that are afraid that they're violating their children's privacy, but it's actually a good thing for them because they're protecting their children before it gets to the point where they can't undo what's been happening, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. You got any thoughts on that, Whitney?
Yeah, I mean, it's like we usually say, like, don't be the friend, be the parent.
Right.
Because once you cross that line, you can't come back. Once something's sent or posted, you can't come back from that. So pry into their phones.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
I was at I'll never forget this. I was at a talk one time. We were talking to a parent group. It was on school safety, as I remember. And I had this parent come up to me, and I know this family. This has been a few years ago. And she came up to me, and she wanted me to come by the house and talk to her daughter about her cell phone use. And when I talk about her cell phone use, like who she's talking to, who she's communicating with in different apps and platforms and things like that. And, I looked at her and I said, it's probably better for you to talk to her than for me to talk to her. You may not realize, but you're probably more of a role model than I am. And I couldn't get that through to her. She couldn't accept that. She was insistent on me coming and talking to this child. And when I say child, we're talking about, I don't know, it's a teenager, 13, 14 years old. And I looked at her and I said, well, let me ask you this. One last question. Who pays for the phone service? And she said, well, I do. And I'm like, you can cut off the phone service for that phone. And you would have thought that I just walked off of a spaceship when I said that to her. Because in her mind, she's like, well, she needs her phone so she can call me or whatever. And I'm like, yeah, but if she's abusing the phone, if she's doing things on the phone that you're not approving of, why don't you just cut the service off or take the phone from her for a while? And that's such a foreign concept.
Yes.
So, I guess it is what it is. But my point is, again, I go back to what Whitney says. Parents sometimes need to be the parent. And, take the phone, cut the phone off for a while. Yeah. And I think you'll get their attention at that point. Now, there's ways, I guess, they can try to get around that. But at the same time, I think it gets people's attention. That's just my personal thoughts on it.
Nope. Yeah, you're right.
So from a parent standpoint, what are some of the things that you'd look at if you were noticing things with your kid, like that you might think that they're being the target of a predator?
Social media accounts is what you want to look at. You want to look at their history as far as who possibly they've been talking to. The problem with that is you don't know who's on the other end of the line, so you don't know if it's actually the person that they think. Monitor them, especially if they're on the phones late at night, sneakatively, if they are using the phone during school hours, if they're kind of excluding themselves to their room and doesn't want to socialize with the family or go out and do anything, you know, sometimes as a red flag, you can kind of pry into it a little bit more, dig a little bit deeper.
Whitney, do they allow? I know they allow them to have them. What's the use on phones in schools, public schools?
I know that it's different. It's different.
Is it different
at
in
each
each school? Okay.
Because the administration's all different.
Okay.
So some of them are allowed to have them in their classrooms out.
Okay.
Some of them are designated to only have them in the hallways during class change.
Okay. So if they're acting like they're trying to talk to somebody and they don't want their mom and dad to know who they're talking to, that's a red flag.
Yeah, sometimes they're very secretive when it comes to their phone, where they're very protective of their phones. Children nowadays, they don't want their phone being taken away anyways, but if they extra guarded over it, or they're, you know, if a parent walks into the room and they just kind of angle their screen out of the view of the parents to see, or, you know, turn the phone off immediately, those are kind of just things that you should watch for. Yeah.
Okay. What about like, I mean, do you see from time to time kids getting, I don't know, presents or stuff sent to them, or?
Yeah, so kids can start receiving presents, cell phones, money, gift cards. I mean, stuff like that. It's kind of a way of grooming children. Yeah.
Okay. What do you mean when you talk about grooming?
So usually predators, when they are targeting children, what they'll do is they'll shower children with gifts, attention. They'll try to pull them away from their family, kind of isolate them. They want you to be dependent on them so that the child doesn't run back to the parent. They'll run back to the predator, and unbeknownst to them that they are a predator. Just children are kind of young, naive, and don't have that life experience to understand that yet. That's kind of one of the biggest things.
What about like controlling access to your kid through emails or internet or things like that? Is there a way parents can do that?
Yeah, I know there are some apps that you can set up, like parental guidance or parameters on the phone, which I strongly recommend and suggest. There's plenty of them out there, or you can just do it on your own validity. I mean,
are we seeing most of the stuff on phones? Is that where we see the most of it?
Phones, yes, but I mean, it is not limited to any technology. Phones, laptops, iPads, Xboxes, PlayStations, I mean, you name it. Gaming markets is horrible. Like Discord, it's a gaming app for children. They talk during games. Discord is one that I get a lot too.
Oh, yeah? So they're on these things, they're playing games, and they're chatting with people. Is this, are they chatting like we're talking right now, or is this all digital typing kind of thing?
It's a little bit of both. A lot more or less it'll be the typing and digital, and then they'll try to transfer your child from that platform to a different one that's kind of harder to track, so to speak, or so they think that it's harder to track. So that's what they'll do. They'll try to get them from one platform to another.
Okay. Huh. Wow. The things parents have to worry about today.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my gosh. What do we mean by, like, online manners, Whitney? What do you mean by that?
Just be careful what you post. I mean, once you post something, or even if it's Facebook, Instagram, even Snapchat, once you put something up there, it's up there. And I think a lot of kids, they think in their minds that just because their parents or specific people aren't friends with them on there, that they're never going to see it.
Right.
And now with technology, as you know, everybody can screenshot everything, and by the time you put it up, 60 seconds later, everybody has it.
Right.
So just be careful with what you're posting.
Yeah.
Yep. Once it's out there, it's out there.
Any comments on that, Amanda?
No, I mean, she's right. Once it's out there, it's out there. Sometimes it's really hard to take it down. I know that we partner with NCMEC, which is the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. They have like this link where it's called Take It Down, but it's still fairly new to me. I know that they try to help bring it down, bring pictures down that are posted that aren't supposed to be up there anymore after being extorted for them. But just like she says, once they're screenshotted, if it's screenshotted at a different time, it's a new hashtag every time there's a picture that's brought up.
Oh, okay. All right. So any other comments for parents?
I just think in reference to like the apps that she was talking about on the phones, they have an app that you can get on your phone as a parent, and it will mirror what's happening on your kid's phone. So you can literally see what they're doing on their phone. And people, again, think that that's an invasion of privacy, but in the same breath, if you're doing it to keep your child safe, I don't think that you're going too far.
Is this like for Android and Apple or just one or the other?
Yeah, and I know at T-Mobile, they have all of that information on that app.
Okay.
Yep.
Have you seen that in use?
I haven't seen specific ones in use. I mean, a lot of parents use whatever they feel comfortable with, whatever their cell phone provider does. I think an open line of communication between parents and children is kind of the best start, best foundation that you can do. Just let them know that they can always come and talk to you about anything and everything. Open up that line of communication, trustfulness. You know, they are growing up, so we got to give them a little bit of a rope, but you got to make sure you maintain them.
Right. Okay. All right. So let's talk a little bit about internet safety from a kid's perspective, young person. Now, before we get into this, I'll tell you something, guys. You know, I don't know. I'm talking to two women here. So, you know, when I tell my daughter that I still can't get my mind wrapped around, I don't understand why these young girls take pictures in bathrooms. And, you know, I mean, when I talk to my kid, I'm like, look, honey, there's only a couple things I do in the bathroom, okay? And taking glamour shots ain't one of them, you know? But there's this thing out there that you see, and it's, I hate to say it, but it's mainly, the ones I've seen are mainly female. And, yeah, I guess that goes in internet manners maybe. Once you take that photograph and it's out there, you can't get it back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's, you know, that would be one piece of advice I'd give a young person is think about where you're taking this selfie glamour shot at, you know, what's behind you and that kind of stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, not only what's behind you, what do you have on and all that stuff, you know? But now as far as kids go, and I think we talked about it earlier, so one way is they'll be gaming and they're interacting with a person in the game. And now that person tries to convince them to go to another platform so they can actually talk to them in person.
Yeah.
That's a red flag for a young person, I guess.
Yeah. So there's a lot of apps that I have noticed working some of my cases, Discord, Snapchat, Kick, what is that? Another Roblox is a really popular one as well. What they'll do is they'll fish for these children. They're naive, so they'll reach out to them. They'll switch platforms to Snapchat or get their phone number, and then they'll start communicating that way. So they're not on the gaming platform anymore. They're focused strictly on your child. Yeah.
Okay. Well, we've had some conversations here about fake social media accounts.
Yeah.
There's no doubt in my mind there's a real person on the other end, but it ain't who they say it is.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I would imagine you see this with young kids, especially, well, young people, male and female. Someone who maybe sends a photo and says, this is me, when really it's someone totally different.
Yep.
And having them understand that that's what's happening. They're trying to gain that trust and trying to make them think that this is actually someone who it's really not.
So anybody can create a Facebook or any type of account, any type of social media account. You can pull pictures off the internet all day long of the same individual, and you could constantly send those photos to, you know, children that you're trying to, you know, communicate with. And they're not going to know any difference. I mean, if you're portraying to be this one person and come to find out you're older gentleman or female, I mean, you can pretend to be whoever you want to on the other end of the line, and that's what they do.
And after they get that two-way communication going now, so they they've been chatting, for example, in an app, and now they're sending. I guess then that's when the photographs, sending in the photographs and things like that start to occur.
Sometimes. So usually they'll try to build a rapport with the children, and they'll start asking them about secrets and making them feel comfortable. And then at that point, sometimes they'll try to extort pictures out of them, like, well, I know this about you. How about you send me this picture? Or then I won't tell anybody else, or vice versa. If they do send a picture, if they ask for a picture, then they'll try to extort them for more. Well, hey, you've already sent me this nude photo. Send me this one, or I'm going to tell your parents, or, and they kind of extort more pictures out of them that way.
Right. Okay. Do they ever, get into their, do they ever actually have personal contact at this point, or?
Sometimes I have worked cases where they are trying to meet up and kind of get together, but at that point it's an unknown at that point, because you don't know who you're meeting.
Right.
Obviously, if you're a 12-year-old child meeting at what you think is a 16-year-old kid, and it turns out to be a 32-year-old man.
Right. And one of the things, I think one of the things people I don't think they grasp, and when we're talking about this, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's the person across the street.
No.
These predators are mobile.
Oh, yeah.
I know we've had cases where people drive hours
from different states.
Right.
Yeah.
To get to a person.
Oh, yeah.
From a safety standpoint, that's something that people need to need to grasp, that it's not necessarily just someone across the road or down the street. It could actually be somebody in some other state.
Oh, yes. I've worked a couple cases like that.
Okay. As far as the extortion piece of this, for kids, it's less about money.
Correct.
It's more about getting them further into, I guess, a secretive relationship.
Right, and more imaging, sharing, and stuff like that. That's for more or less children. It's not intended
money
for money.
For them.
Right, exactly.
It's other things, right?
Other things, yep.
Right. Okay. I don't know, Whitney, anything right now? I can't remember that we're working anything.
No, usually what we see in schools is more so a kid pretending to be another kid, or they log into another person's Snapchat and post things pretending to be them, and that's when they post the school threats, or they post pictures that they weren't supposed to, that anybody wasn't supposed to see. So we deal with that quite frequently in the schools.
Do we see, when she mentioned logging into each other's accounts, will they ask for that kind of information, these predators, to try to get into their accounts? Are you seeing anything like that?
Usually they're not asking to gain access to their accounts. They're just trying to establish some type of relationship with them, communication. The predators aren't looking to take over their accounts. They just kind of want the pictures and images and the meetups.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, let's talk just a couple of tips for young people. One of the things I've told my daughter this, if you take a photograph and you want to put it on the social media platform, text it or send it to anyone through email or whatever, take that photo, blow it up to a poster size, and walk around for about a month with it. And if you feel comfortable with that photograph and everybody seeing it, then it's okay to hit send. And, I think she got it when I put it in that context to her. Because I told her, I was like, no, you go to your grandmother's house and you show her the photo, and you go to church and you show them the photo, and you go to school and you show them all the photo and your teachers. And then if you're good with it, it's probably okay at that point. And but they don't think like that. Young people think when they send a photo, like if I take a photo and I send it to you, you're the only person that's going to see that.
Yeah.
And that's not true.
Yeah. And they don't understand that. It's hard for them to grasp. And not only do they think that you and I are friends and I send you this photo, maybe one day we're not going to be friends. Well, what did you do with the photo?
Oh, yeah. It'll get shared again.
Yeah. Yeah. And young people are not thinking like that.
Nope.
So any other comments on young people and tips for them?
Just kind of like you said, be mindful of the type of pictures that you take and how you take it, where you take it, who you send it to, because, I mean, like you said, it'll be forwarded to so many other people that was not authorized to have it. You know, you send it to one person, they're going to send it to whoever they want to at that point. And then, obviously, be, I guess, in a way, an active bystander. Like if you know that your friend is doing it, sending pictures that they shouldn't be talking to, you know, speak out on their behalf, you know, talk to an adult, find somebody, help them out, you know, don't just kind of let them crash and burn, so to speak.
Right. And if parents have questions about these things,
Yeah.
contact the local law enforcement.
Yes, of course.
Try to preserve whatever they can. That's helpful to us to have, you know, whatever evidence we can as far as if there's a crime committed and how we're going to follow up with that.
Right.
Yeah, we always tell them to put the phone on airplane mode.
Right.
Yes.
Because then no one can log in and get in there and delete anything off of it.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And any other questions and stuff like that, I know the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, they have a lot of information on their website, and that's a really good resource to reach out to.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Amanda, thanks a lot for joining us here today. And Whitney, thanks for being here as well. Everyone, again, this is Shenandoah County Sheriff Tim Carter, and you can find this and all of our other podcasts on my YouTube channel at Timothy Carter. And when you're there, make sure you go ahead and subscribe so you can get new show notifications. And thank you all so much for listening and watching today. Thank you.